All right. Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Drewski with Cryptidwarfare and Conspiracies Podcast. I want to just say thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a blessed week. And guys, before we get into it, I'm going to introduce to you guys who the guest is on today. It's going to be good. And I just want to say that this has kind of been kind of like a way of kind of like finding each other in a way. So we had like a couple like difficulties when it came to scheduling, I should say. And then last week we had of course, in Tennessee, we actually had like a snowstorm. So I wanted to tell Maxim that I appreciate him being flexible. So, but anyways, guys, like I said, going back to the guest, like I'm talking about, Maxim Furek, guys, he has probably the baddest name. He has probably the baddest name I've ever heard in my life. It is awesome. He sounds like a gladiator. But anyways, yeah, guys, he is a well-known author of occult religion and hoodoo paranormal tales from the inside of the pit. And guys, he's also got plenty of books out there. So, and also he has a lot of things coming up as well that he is going to talk about, more books and stuff like that, and other projects that he is doing. So, anyways, guys, before we get into that, I'm going to give a couple shout outs for small businesses. So, guys, like I said, with all these shout outs I'm giving out from the small businesses, I am a big small business advocate. I'm going to label all these, and you guys can find them in the show notes. So here we go. If you guys are looking for any window cleaning, hit up Berry Hill Window Cleaning. They're out of Tennessee. If you guys are looking for any T-shirts or anything made, look up New City Hustler. If you guys need any construction or anything hauled when it comes to gravel, mulch, or anything like that, look up Bearded Brothers Trucking Company. If you guys need professional power washing when it comes to houses, trucks, anything, power wash, you name it, look up Tier 1 Restorations. And also too, if you guys need any swag or gear when it comes to patches, custom patches you put on your hats, arms, plate, chest rigs, anything like that, look up the tack patch. And also, if you guys are having any cryptid problems, UFO problems, spiritual warfare problems, or if you guys need any consulting when it comes to stuff like that, anything terrorizing your home or anything like that, look up CW Operations and Survival. And like I said, I will put everything in the show notes for you guys to contact these people. Anyways, guys, that's enough of that. Let me get to our guest today. The baddest name I ever heard in my life, Maxim. Brother, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you for being flexible. So I just want to say thank you, man, for coming on. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Drewski. You know, I was just telling you before we went live, I still thought that Drewski is the best name in the business. Back at you.
Right on, man.
Hey, thanks so much for having me on. And I got to tell you this, you know, as a published author, we're looking for listeners. We're looking to try to get the word out, you know, about our books and our research. And it's just wonderful that we have podcasts such as yours, you know, that we could connect with our demographic. So I really appreciate what Cryptid Warfare and Conspiracies is doing. And, you know, I'm looking forward to having a nice chat with you. But again, thanks for this opportunity. This is something new. This is something that's really taken off, especially after COVID, you know, 2020, 2021. And, you know, this podcast realm is just, you know, it's the people's platform, you know, it's, you know, grassroots. It's us speaking, not the kings and queens and the bureaucrats, but it's us. So, you know, thanks again for the invite.
100%, man. And thank you for coming on, man. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. So like I said, you know, let's just get into it. Okay. So you, of course, you know, you're an awesome author. Dude, your books out there, I'm definitely going to check out. I was checking out some of them. It looks very, very interesting. So yeah, I'll definitely check those out for sure. But first I want to know, where did all this start? Where does your interest of all these things start in the paranormal, UFOs, cryptid, stuff like that? When did it all start for you?
Well, first of all, my background, you know, I'm a former psychologist. I was an addiction specialist. So I dealt with people with addictions.
Oh, you and I got a lot to talk about after this. So anyways, but go ahead.
I had a real affinity for emerging drugs of abuse, whether they were bath salts, synthetic cannabinoids, you know, the ecstasy, you know, Molly, all that stuff. I mean, all kinds of new stuff that was coming out there. So I was sort of keeping up on that. I was a rock journalist, and that was my real passion. But in 2016, I was trying to write this rock biography about connecting the song Timothy. Now, in 1971, there was a song Timothy about cannibalism in a mine shaft.
Okay.
So that was 1971. It was a gruesome song. It hit the charts. It was the highest charting song from where I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, from any local band. But anyway, I was researching this song, Timothy, and here I found that there was a correlation between an actual event, and that was in 1963. The Shepton mining disaster in northeastern Pennsylvania took place in 1963. 3 guys were entombed for 2 weeks. Only 2 came out, and they wanted to know what happened to the 3rd guy. And there were allegations. They were unfounded, they were unsubstantiated, but there were allegations of cannibalism back then in 63 as there are today. So as I was researching Shepton, I found all these other paranormal examples, like out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, and after-death experiences. As a matter of fact, Pope John the 23rd, and I don't care what religion any of your listeners are, but in Catholic mysticism, Pope John the 23rd had died in June of 1963. Shepton took place in August of 63. They saw the Pope for those 2 weeks in the mine. 2 weeks. Okay. He had died. He was dead, but they saw him there. So all 3 of his miracles happened after he had died. Catholic priests and nuns and theologians that I've spoken with claim that what happened was he died, went to heaven, got his authority from God, came down and worked the miracles, because that's how miracles work. Not through you or me, but through God. So, and again, this isn't a religious thing. This is a miracle that happened in the mine. And when the Pope was canonized in 2014, and make a little note of this, because this is pretty freaking interesting, but Pope John the 23rd was canonized in 2014, and Vatican scholars claim that Shepton was one of his miracles. It was a dual canonization, 2 popes at the same time. The other one was Pope John Paul II. Get this, Pope John Paul II was an exorcist. He organized a university, a college for exorcism, and there were priests there from something like 130 some countries that came to learn the ancient medieval rite of exorcism, because Pope John the Second believed that evil exists, the devil exists, and we need to go and have something like the rite of exorcism to deal with that. So that's why Pope John the 23rd and Pope John Paul II and Shepton 1963 are so important. And again, that just kicked me in the head, got me involved in the paranormal. I didn't go looking for this. I'm a rock journalist. I was just writing a book about rock and roll, about the song Timothy. And all of a sudden I find Shepton. It opened up. But here's the thing that happened, Drewski. The book comes out in 2016. That's only 9 years ago. So I get invited to all these podcasts. They had podcasts back then. I was invited to Baltimore at a conference. I was featured on Mysterious Universe, the Australian podcast. They did a 90-minute presentation on Maxim Furek and the Shepton mythology. And then even the Skeptical Inquirer. And that's, say what you will about them, but they did a big program on the Shepton thing. And, they most of it was complimentary, except the last part. And they were citing, again, a medieval thing called Occam's razor. And when you try to figure out something that is very complicated, you look for the most common, the most basic explanation. So they're saying that with the Shepton, when the miners saw humanoids and saw Pope John the 23rd and all this, that they were hallucinating. They're trying to say that it was just a hallucination. And I'm claiming that, in cases of miracles and apparitions, it's not a basic common denominator. It's something that goes beyond that. It's above that. You cannot define that through Occam's razor. You have to use other terminology. And that's exactly what the paranormal is. It falls outside of the realm of the scientific. We don't know what it is. So, and on programs like this, we try to come up with genres and definitions and vocabulary. And that's the best we can do as researchers, as academics.
I got you with that. So that's basically how you kind of got interested in it. You kind of got pulled into it.
Absolutely, yeah. And that was 9 years ago. And then, since then, Coal Region Hoodoo, after Shepton, that book just took off like I couldn't believe. I mean, as an author, I'm really pleased I've been successful. Coal Region Hoodoo did even better. And I came out with Flying Saucer Esoteric.
I've seen that. Yeah, in 2023?
2023. And then this year, I came out with the Lost Tribes of BIGFOOT, which is really taken off. And one thing I want to share, this is from Hangar One Technologies, but take a look at Hangar One Publishing. But if I could share this with you and your listeners. Yeah, so in the Lost Tribes of BIGFOOT, they have a thing called IBT. It's immersive book technology. And if you were to take your phone, your camera, and hit that, there would be a QR code, and it would show a 3-minute video of me doing a synopsis of the chapter. So there's a whole bunch of these throughout the book, picturing back when in my days of being a rock journalist. That's in Greenwich Village. And I don't know if you saw the new Dylan movie, but I mean, that was his haunch. He was in Club WA. So there's me there, trying to look hip. But anyway, I'm like everybody else. We wear many hats. We have diverse backgrounds. Everybody has a story to tell, ups and downs and whatever. But right now, as a paranormal author, I think that I'm giving voice where, we don't have a whole lot of voice. I mean, I view this all as an academic. I'm trying to make sense of it. Like, a lot of like Einstein, John Keel, Jacques Vallée, all those people. So, so I'm a little bit what they call on the woo side, but, I'm proud of that. I mean, that's what I add to the narrative.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Because to me, you need both sides. You have to have both sides, because if you have just like one singular side, it's just going to be just like microscopic when it comes to paranormal, when it comes to cryptids or whatever. You got to have both sides to feed off of each other, because one side isn't all the way right, the other side isn't all the way right. But when you come together, you guys can feed off each other and you can learn things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So as I do these podcasts, and as people are reading my books and getting back to me, it's just like amazing that a lot of people share my my view, and they thank me for expressing that, because again, not everybody likes this academic side. I mean, there's a lot of people that are just flesh and blood Sasquatchers. They're looking for the body, and that's fine. I mean, but we need more proof. And what we have right now with that camp, we have eyewitnesses, we have smells, we have the shrieks, the noise, or the woos, the sounds. We have the rocks, the wood knocks. We have the wooden structures. We have all of these things, but we don't have the body, and we don't have the DNA. And so far, all of the closest we've come to with DNA is like, even in with Yeti and Abominable Snowman, it's been a black bear. So we're looking for that. I mean, we're all looking for that. So we're in that gap. But guys like me come in, and I believe if it's not flesh and blood, then what is it? So I claim if it's not flesh and blood, then just maybe the only theory that I've researched, and I do a lot of reading, talk to a lot of people, I'm on a lot of podcasts, the only theory makes sense is the interdimensional theory. And Einstein...
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, keep going. This is going good. Keep going.
Einstein, this was not a new theory. I mean, Einstein copied this from somebody else, and then he just sort of reinvented it. But he talked about the wormhole theory.
Yeah.
That if you take the space-time continuum, let me demonstrate, and you fold it in half. So instead of space, brother, going like from here to here and taking trillions of light years, you fold that space-time continuum in half, and you just go through here, which will take you a microsecond to go from one dimension to another. Now, Einstein said that, Jacques Vallée said that, John Keel said that. I'm saying that, again, it's the only theory that makes any sense. You know, if we can't see this body. So people have claimed that Bigfoot has bilocation, that you rapid transport, that you can see them in front of you and then they shapeshift behind you, just like that. So it's just amazing, what these, witnesses have seen. We're fortunate in Pennsylvania now. Again, there's no one headquarters that keeps tabs on all the Bigfoot sightings. We know that Pacific Northwest, we know California, Washington, British Columbia, that's sort of the epicenter for Bigfoot. And I have friends there that claim they talk to Bigfoot, that Bigfoot are the teachers and they're the students. I mean, they tell me this. But in Pennsylvania, we have a place in Western Pennsylvania called Chestnut Ridge. Now, in the current issue of Fate magazine, I have an article there on Chestnut Ridge that talks about all those anomalies, not only Bigfoot, but also UFOs. So not only are they seeing Bigfoot creatures, but they're seeing orbs and flying saucers connected. So that shows me that there's a paranormal element to Bigfoot, that it's more than just flesh and blood, it's something else. We're fortunate because in Western Pennsylvania, we have a lot of researchers. I mean, they're stepping all over each other. I mean, there's so many of them, but Stan Gordon is the one who keeps tabs on all this. And he's sort of like the keeper of the flame, because whenever the Pennsylvania State Police get a report on a Bigfoot or a dogman or any anomaly or a UFO or a UAP, they say, call Stan Gordon, because they've sort of washed their hands, but give it to Stan. So Stan will take all these sightings and he will go and put it into a file. And so he has all these sightings about regular people that have seen, two Bigfoot at 6 o'clock in the PM going to the barn or whatever. My story took place, and I talk about this in the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. My neighbor, I live in a small little mountain town in northeastern Pennsylvania called Mackinac. My neighbor was at the St. Mary's Cemetery, and as he was driving out there on the trail line, he saw two Bigfoot. One was cinnamon, one was black. One was bigger than the other. And I asked him several times how they acted. He said that they just looked at him, almost like Patty in the Patterson Gimlin film, looked at him. Not that they were afraid, but they looked at him and then took off and walked away, walked like humans. I interviewed him several times. I said, Joe, can I use this in my book? He said, yes. I contacted Stan Gordon to document this, and Stan contacted him. I contacted Tim Renner from Pennsylvania so he could document this. The other thing that happened was, this was Craig Long. Craig Long is the district magistrate in Catawissa, Pennsylvania. At the time, before this, Craig Long was a police officer. And I'm naming names because, I mean, this is legitimate. Craig Long gets a call like 11 o'clock at night. This older guy was letting its dog out to take a leak, and he saw this 11, 12-foot creature. He said the creature, he wasn't afraid. He said, you know why? Any idea why he wasn't afraid?
Why is that?
Said that the creature had kind eyes. It had kind eyes, and it looked at him and then it walked away. And Craig Long took the report. But in so many of these cases of witnesses of Bigfoot, they're not aggressive. They're kind of shy. They stay away from us. They run away from us. Even with Patty, 1967 Patterson Gimlin film, they think that maybe there were two other maybe young Sasquatches there, and Patty was just going away so that they would go towards her and stay away from her.
Basically steer them away.
Yeah, one theory. So, but anyway, from everything I've heard, you don't hear about Sasquatch attacking people, and you don't, there's more people killed by black bears, than by Bigfoot, and and all the hunters out there say that nobody's ever been killed by a black bear. Well, that's not true. I have it in my book. There was a woman from California that there was a bear that was starving, and I guess feasted on her corpse for 2 days, but before they discovered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's pretty gory. But But no, Bigfoot doesn't seem to be, an aggressive, dangerous creature. And so it's, but this is my experience. Again, I've never seen one, but just with my, okay, research. Okay. Who's this little one, this little Sasquatcher?
This is my boy. He's supposed to be watching a movie. But
How you doing?
let me say hi, buddy.
Still on your pajamas, but I remember when I was that young. Yeah.
All
Stay in
right,
your
he's out here.
pajamas all day.
He's going back to watch the show.
Okay.
But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, just that they don't seem to be dangerous. But anyway, in the current issue of Fate, and I would hope that people would continue to support Fate magazine, because Phyllis Galdi, who's down there near Asheville, they had the storms. I guess it was Hurricane Helene.
Yep.
That had storms of biblical proportions. I mean, who would have thought that the peaceful mountain community of Asheville would get flooded like they did? I mean,
Nobody did.
Yeah, trillions of gallons of water there. And I don't know. I've talked to some people since then that talk about some of these government programs, these. Yeah, exactly. And man, I mean, I hope not. I just scratch my head. I mean, every time,
Yeah. Not only that, with also too going off of that, with the whole stuff going on in California, almost kind of looks like Maui.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
happened in Maui. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. With I'm going to show this to your audience. My next project, the one I'm working on now, is Paranormal Apocalypse. Is this how it ends? And I talk about the end times. I talk about man's fear, generated by either religion or politics or the environmental or whatever. I mean, we live in a constant state of fear. And, I'll tell you what, we're in a bad state, because remember last year, it was last year when we had the drones over New Jersey, 2024. And Biden's government could not tell us what they were. So we were sort of in the dark. We were confused. President-elect Trump, and again, I don't care what your politics are, but he was another bozo on the bus who dropped the ball and said that the government knows what they are, but they're not telling the people. So again, everybody gets the impression that there's this conspiracy, a deep state conspiracy to withhold information from we the people. Biden screwed up and Trump screwed up. And I don't want anybody to tell me that he didn't. He could have just kept his mouth shut, but he inflamed the situation as he tends to do. So what happened was people were looking up into the sky, and it's almost like a Rorschach test. If you look hard enough, you're going to see things. You're going to hallucinate, confabulate, make things up. You're going to see things. And there's always things out there, whether they're aircraft or drones or whatever. And there's a lot of drones up there. But we didn't, when they interviewed people didn't think they were, flying saucers. They weren't extraterrestrial, but we thought they were from China or Russia or from Iran. So we thought they were foreign entities. Another interesting thing, in 1938, when we had the War of the Worlds, Orson Welles had a radio drama.
I remember that. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you weren't old enough to.
No, I know, but I heard the on YouTube and heard the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it was a radio drama about H.G. Wells, and H.G. Wells is just wonderful. But H.G. Wells had a book called War of the Worlds, where aliens from Mars land in England. Well, Orson Welles had them land in Grover's Mills, New Jersey. And he made it sound like a radio cast. So it started out slow and sleepy, and then it got really hyperactive. So people got really afraid of that. But afterwards, people didn't think they were Martians from outer space, but they thought they were some kind of craft from either the Soviet Union or someplace, or maybe even Germany. So again, we didn't think that they were Martians from outer space. But it doesn't matter. Fear is fear. It doesn't matter what that boogeyman under the bed is. It doesn't matter if there's nothing there. If your kid says, Daddy, you know, there's this monster under the bed. Well, you know, don't convince him that there's no monster. I mean, just acknowledge the fact that he's filled with fear. Deal with that fear, you know, not the hallucination of the monster, but the fear, you know, help him with that fear, you know? So anyway, that's my 2 cents as a former psychologist. And that's what little I remember of my past life, you know?
So going back to the H.G. Wells, okay, the of that, I heard, I don't know if this is legit because I have not looked into it, but when like War of the Worlds was going on, people would go in halfway during the broadcast and they literally thought this was actually going on. And this is, I think it was off the Joe Rogan podcast, or I forgot, someone else was talking about that. I'm not saying it's legit or anything, but I overheard that some people actually killed themselves because they were freaking out so bad.
Yeah. I think what happened was this. You have to look at the story within a story.
Yeah.
Radio was a brand new commodity medium in 1938, and it was giving newspapers competition. So the newspapers jumped all over this to say how that radio broadcast made people crazy, made them commit suicide and do this. So they fanned the flames.
Gotcha.
Doing that. So everything we read now, and they interviewed Orson Welles. He was only, I think, 23 years old. He was just a kid, you know, but a genius.
Yeah.
And they said, were you trying to cause a riot? You know, were you trying to go and cause chaos? And he said, no, but man, I mean, they just kept it up. You know, I mean, he had death threats. They, you know, people, that's true. People did threaten to kill Orson Welles. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know about the suicides. I know I had read about that, but I don't know if that's true. But you know, but I mean, even if 1 or 2 people committed suicide because of the, you know, the hysteria and the drama, I could understand that. You know, so
yeah, especially if that whoever, let's say, God forbid, but someone actually did that. You know, they, to me, like their back could have been against the wall, or things could have been happening outside of that, and that just probably like broke like the camel's back. Like, this is it, you know, it's over.
Exactly. Or even go back to the Great Depression, 1929. I mean, people did commit suicide because they lost it all. You know, why go on? And again, with my, I look into this. I think I'm going to break new ground with Paranormal Apocalypse. I'm just like really researching a lot of fear, and fear is the most basic instinct of man. H.P. Lovecraft said that fear of the unknown is the most powerful of emotions, and it's true. You know,
it is.
We don't know what's going to happen. You know, but a lot of times we put fear into it rather than you know, making sense of it, and you know, so we tend to do that, and we tend to do that collectively, like lemmings. You know, like rats. I mean, we just have a herd mentality. So
yeah, to me with that, like, there's also a good fear, but there's also a bad fear, and that's the bad fear you're talking about. Like with me, like being ex-law enforcement and all that stuff I did in Colorado for just basically just like under a decade. Fear, I should say, gave me wisdom to be cautious a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And that saved my butt, like the majority of the time, like being cautious instead of throwing caution to the wind and be like, I ain't scared, and just run in there, you know, as the saying goes, don't go be running to your death. But anyways, but about the flip side of that too, when you talk about another type of fear, it can get out of hand. But yeah, I hear you though. I hear you on that.
Yeah, well, it directs us, and again, I believe that that people in power know that fear is a good way to control us.
Yes.
Look at religious leaders. If you don't follow the Bible, if you don't follow our statutes, you're going to hell. Or if you don't follow the law, you know, you're going to get locked up. Or, you know, if you don't vote for me, the country is going to go to hell. So, I mean, just all kinds of fear mongering, and we fall for it every single time. So, you know, so anyway, I'm, you know, just doing a deep dive, a real study into this, and it's just pretty amazing. You know, whether it's okay, I know people in San Francisco that were involved in the Jim Jones cult, where he was telling a lot of people, a lot of African American folks that there's going to be a race war, and we better go to Guyana, to Jonestown, where there's going to be paradise. Wasn't paradise. It was hot, humid, buggy, horrible conditions. And those people, like had over 700 people committed mass suicide. They drank the Kool-Aid. That's where that came.
Yeah. And what was that? What was that other one? I think it was in 2000 or 1998, 1999, with that comet coming down. And a certain guy had a certain religion to where they thought it was a spaceship coming down, and they had to kill themselves at the exact moment, the exact time for that spaceship to lift them out.
Yeah.
I forgot what it was.
I want to say it was Bo and Peep, something like that, from San Diego, something like that. But it was very weird. They all had to shave their heads, and I think they were all neutered. I mean, something really weird. It was like just a weird thing. I mean, God,
it's like eunuch kind of thing,
But But people that give up their autonomy, their power, some of them turn it over to these cult leaders. Because they believe the cult leader is going to take care of them, So that's the promise. Well, the cult leader is going to go and use their fear against them, and that's how that works. But I think a lot of this, my philosophies I explore, especially in co-region hoodoo and in the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. I think there's a lot of that same sentiment there. So I'm, hoping that, I know you talk about cryptids, but Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, I believe, covers some new ground, and I think it's something that's a good addition to a Sasquatch enthusiast library. So I'm just hoping that people would at least take a look at that.
Oh yeah, 100%. And also too, I'm actually going to be snagging one this weekend. So, and I did not know you wrote that until I was going through all your information. I was like, because for one, I was seeing that book being advertised on Facebook, Instagram, online, and I was like, that seems like a great book. And then Lord and behold, you're the guy who wrote it, and you're the guy I'm interviewing. How about that?
Well, it is a great book, and Co-Region Hoodoo had a couple of chapters on Bigfoot. I was really fascinated by it, and because of that was 2023. There was all kinds of. I mean, I get invited to all these expos, and all these, a lot of great things happen just because of those two chapters. So I thought, I'm going to follow this up and write a book about Bigfoot and just expand it and see where it takes me. And one chapter is called the Bigfoot UFO connection, which I believe there's a connection there. And another chapter that's probably the most controversial is Bigfoot the new religion? And I got a lot of pushback from that with the religious right. So anyway, that's but that's the way that works. You take your shot, you voice your opinion, and if somebody doesn't go along with it, they're going to go and confront you, maybe argue with you. But that's fine. That's the way it should be. We should have a mature discussion about these things.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Give me 1 second.
Sure. And pretty amazing. Hangar One Publishers, they're the guys that do Monster Quest.
Yes.
They've been really, really good. Doug and Alex Hychek. I mean, they've been helping me with the promotion and getting, the word out to the right people. So there's the one thing that people, there's been the one thing that they're picking out of the book, though, is that I forget what the tag was. Bigfoot researcher declares war against hoaxers. And so that was the review. Okay, that was on some of the wire services, but it was about the book. But that's what they cherry picked. And I have I think it's 3 chapters where I go against these hoaxers in the Bigfoot community and in the UFO community that just go and lie, for whatever reason, maybe for their 15 seconds of fame or 50 minutes of fame, or their financial gain or whatever, but just, to lie. And I think it's horrible because it sets our realm back. And, there's enough people in the community and the scientific realm that don't like us and think that we're just a bunch of, fools.
Yeah.
And I think but these hoaxers just add to that. And so, like, I call them out. I claim that they've sold their souls to the devil. And I talk about the Piltdown Man hoax. I talk about the Minnesota Iceman. And, I talk about I talk about, the Jaime Maussan, the Mexican, UFO corpse, all that. So, I mean, that's in the book. And I really have made myself clear with that. So that seems to have resonated, and people have picked up on that. And I was on George Norrie's Coast to Coast, and he was asking me about that. He goes, "You really seem to be upset with these hoaxers." He goes, "Why is that?" Well, that's why. I mean, I don't like them. I don't like what they do. So
No, and not only that, they give like Bigfoot researchers like myself, like you, a bad name. And
yeah,
not only that, in this community, like, of course you can have bad apples, but the outside of it for the public look at us like we're crazy. And especially with the hoaxers, they're gonna be like, okay, these guys are just loco. But not only that, it doesn't do justice for the people who actually had experiences, who actually had sightings, and who have been physically hurt by these things or physically seen these things.
yeah,
It doesn't do them any justice at all. And
right,
people don't have any closure on it.
yeah,
So I 100% agree with you, man. Like we have to, as researchers, to call these people out, also to protect the people that have had these experiences as well. We have
yeah,
to be in that gap.
yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you what, I think some people who have the ability to have seen a Bigfoot, it's almost like a sacred thing. I mean, it doesn't happen with everybody. I think certain people may have a certain aptitude or vibration or whatever.
Yeah.
Back home, Bill Rigby from Western Pennsylvania saw. He has a podcast, Agents of the Unexplained, and he saw a Bigfoot at 15 foot, and he suffered from PTSD from that. Other people have just been filled with, like, I mean, their life has changed. Last year, I was with my wife walking along this trail by the Susquehanna River, and I want to tell you about my Bigfoot sighting. So I look and I see this dark shape coming towards me, and it goes to the left behind a tree, comes closer, and I responded, the adrenaline, the heart beating, thumping. I mean, man, like, wow, this was the moment I've been looking for. And then it came closer. Here, it was a woman wearing a fur coat that had those extended shoulder pads. And
Okay, yeah, like the football pads kind of thing.
she
Yeah.
looked, so it wasn't a Bigfoot. It was a woman wearing this coat. But here's the thing. For those, what is it, 1001, 1002, 1003, maybe 1004, 4 seconds, what I saw, I believed was a Bigfoot. And I don't care if I never, I mean, I hope I would actually see one, but if
Yeah.
I don't, at least for those 3 or 4 seconds, I believe that I did. I mean, that
Yeah,
was,
you're in that
what,
moment.
what a hit. What a wonderful experience, to see that, just that wow moment,
Yeah.
so to see a Bigfoot has to be one of the most incredible uh events. I mean, I just can't say enough about it. But I mean, I'm so glad that I experienced that. That was near on the Susquehanna River at a place called the Riverlands, and I'll never forget it. I mean, again, I'm not telling anybody I saw one. I mean, I thought I saw one. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
closest I got and that's all I got. So
Yeah.
but anyway, that was pretty neat. So anyway, so that was last year. But anyway, the book is taking off, and Co-Region Hoodoo seems to be the book that is really making noise for me. I mean, one of the chapters is about Dr. Frederick Santee. He was a white witch,
Okay.
and he was one of the foremost abstract thinkers of the 20th century. And I would encourage your listeners to just jump on Amazon and just read some of the reviews for Co-Region Hoodoo. It's Co-Region Hoodoo, Paranormal Tales from Inside the Pit. And just read some of those things. But it's an encyclopedia of the paranormal. I mean, it's good stuff. But Dr. Frederick Santee was a white witch. He was the high priest for the Coven of the Kata. He was a friend of mine, and because he lived right down the road. I mean, 5 miles. But anyway, there's a TV program called Oculus Alchemy. They're from New York City, and you should
Okay.
check that out. Oculus Alchemy is dropping a documentary about Dr. Santee in March of this year. And they came to my home turf.
Hold on real quick. Hold on real quick. Is it going to be on Netflix? Like what like what's it going to be?
I don't know. I don't know how to think, but it's called Oculus, Oculus, Alchemy, Achemy, and
Okay.
and again, it's going to be in March of this year. I know it's on New York stations. I don't know if they share that on YouTube or what. I mean, I have no idea because I have to find out how I can watch it. But anyway, they came down and shot this on August the 9th. During Hurricane Debbie, we had tornado warnings.
Yeah.
Torrential rain. I mean, it was crazy, but we shot that there, and I helped set up the locations and the people. So I was part of this thing. So this was
That's awesome.
It really was. Yeah. I mean, when does this happen? I mean, New York City TV producer comes down. I hooked up with her at a conference. I did a presentation on Dr. Santee.
Mhm.
This woman comes up to me, hands me her card. She goes, "I'd like to do something on that." And so she did that 2 months later. I mean, boom, boom, boom. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
What do you call that? I mean, synchronicity that, I didn't go looking for it. She comes up to me, hands me a card, and then 2 months later, we're shooting a documentary. I mean,
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah, I know. So, and that's what happened with me with the paranormal. I mean, I think there's energies there. I think that, there's vibrations and frequencies. And I think if you work hard and get your vibrations up there, you can connect with another realm. And I think it's about that. You've got to.
Yeah, I agree. Also, too, what was it? Okay. The human eye can only see in between 430 and 730 hertz, basically. And then our ears can only detect sounds between, 20 hertz and then 20K hertz. And these ranges make up a fraction of the total of sound and light frequency range. So this means there's a lot going on around us than we can see and hear.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. There's a short story by Ambrose Bierce. He was called Bitter Bierce. He was sort of like Edgar Allan Poe, kind of. But Bierce wrote a thing called The Damn Thing. And The Damn Thing was like that. It was, invisible to us only because we couldn't see it. We couldn't see that spectrum. So imagine this creature that you can't see because the spectrum is beyond us, or the vibrations are so high that only dogs or animals could hear it. I mean, something that's invisible to us. I mean, it makes perfect sense that somewhere there is a creature, a cryptid, something that is out there that we can't detect because we're humans. We don't have the ability to see it, hear it, smell it, or whatever. So that's a real good consideration, and that falls into that interdimensional whatever that is. Yeah. It makes sense. I mean, I don't know if, one of the, we walk around with all these crazy little factoids, but I think it's a sperm whale can make a sound that's almost, that the shriek is almost as loud as a 727. Now
really?
That's
nuts.
Yeah, I know. Google that. So when I
check that out, yeah.
So 747. So I mean, but there, so many things. Amazing if God would have created a man creature that could like a lizard. Like if you lost a hand, it would grow back, or we would shed.
A chameleon, yeah.
Yeah, like all these things. I mean, the animal kingdom has so many just miraculous attributes that we don't have. I mean, not that I want to be a lizard or be a sperm whale, but I mean,
yeah.
it's or a dog who, but just amazing stuff. So I think by learning about nature, we can learn about the paranormal. And I want to say this: out of all the anomalous things we see out there, whether they're cryptids or UFOs, and I use the term UFOs or flying saucers. I don't really like the UAPs, but anyway.
I don't either. Call me old school. I don't like that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. So 3% are anomalous. We don't know what they are. I mean, the explanations are, it could be, from Russia, or it could be from outer space, maybe, or our stealth technology. But 3%, we have no idea what they are. We can't figure it out. And all the others you could attribute to, lights, Venus, whatever. But so I don't know. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I was a radarman aboard an aircraft carrier, and I saw UFOs. I saw tangible contacts, flying UFOs
Mhm.
that were tangible. They were more maneuverable than any guided missile we had or the Soviets had. And again, we just put them in the logbook UFOs, but they weren't hallucinations. They were. I mean, the radar scope doesn't lie. It's not a malfunction. So we know what we saw. I mean, it was solid stuff. And so anyway, there were lots of them. And in my book, Flying Saucer Esoteric, I talk about that. The introduction talks about me being a radarman and what I saw. And a lot of us guys were just kids. We were under the age of 20. We're serving in Nam, and they would tell us, keep your mouth shut. Don't tell anybody what you saw.
I was going to ask you about that. I was
Yeah.
like, when is that bomb drop going to happen?
Yeah.
I know they had to tell you guys, be quiet about that. Yeah.
So I was part of the big conspiracy, just to keep your mouth. And then later, I go to my Navy reunions. Actually, last year we went to Colorado Springs, which was
nice. That's where I lived at.
Okay, yeah. Garden of the Gods.
Garden of the Gods. I love it.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah, gorgeous, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, fantastic. So, but anyway, so I would talk to my, fellow sailors, my crewmates, and they said, yeah, same thing. We saw things. They told us to shut up about it. So, and back then, we were 17, 18, 19 years of age. We were loyal and abiding. We weren't nonconformist.
We weren't really questioning anything. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. So that changed in later years, but anyway, yeah. So there's things out there, and a while back I like to watch 1950s sci-fi, black and white stuff. I just love the way they did it. But
I have so many DVDs of that. I go through, watch YouTube, and Danger Will Robinson and all that stuff. Good stuff, man.
It's good stuff. Yeah. So there's the one, Earth versus the Flying Saucers, and it was Roy Harryhausen did the animations for the saucers. But in the beginning of the film, they have this military intelligence guy, and I think they want him to make the science fiction movie more plausible or more authentic. So he starts talking about the things we see, and he said that 3% of what we see can't be explained. It's the same thing they're saying today. I mean, that 3% figure hasn't changed. So 3%. I mean, that's a great name of a book. 3%. Or even, you talked about what we see, what we can't see. They say that we are close. We share DNA with chimpanzees and gorillas and bonobos. And I think we share 98% of our DNA with those great apes. So there's 2%. So that's another great name for a book, 2%. Like, what does that 2% represent? I mean, what do we have that the monkeys don't have,
Yeah.
So, I mean, really.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I explored some of that in the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. I really think that if we're in this game, if we have an interest in cryptids and the paranormal, we should just do as much reading and research as we can and look at the different theories and say, okay, I like this one for these reasons. And I think we need some critical thinking. And I think that's the one thing that Carl Sagan talked about. I mean, don't follow leaders and don't listen to people like me, but just get a second opinion and see what makes sense. I mean, what I talk about makes sense to me just because of a lot of research, but do your own critical thinking and be your own person and, don't follow leaders. So.
Yeah, it's like that saying goes, man, measure twice, cut once, get other opinions,
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's I agree with that, especially on the okay, so I'm gonna send you some photos because on the side of this, besides the podcast, I have another business thing. It's called CW Operations and Survival, right? So we get tasked to go out. So a lot of these guys I have on my team, ex law enforcement, ex military, stuff like that. But we go out and we do a lot of research when it comes to cryptids. So I am in the same realm you are. I believe that these things are physical, but I believe they also manifest too, and I also believe that they jump in and out of interdimensionally into portals, right? In and out of portals.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
because we do like a lot of tracking with these things, and a lot of the times you're tracking and you're following the footsteps and you're casting stuff like that, and next thing you know, it's gone.
yeah.
Like where did it go? You know, there's no way you can say, I don't know. To me, they just jump through a portal or they just vanish or whatever, you know. But yeah, if people, there's a lot of people I've met throughout the years that saying, "Oh, that thing is just a straight up just mountain monkey." Well,
Yeah,
I disagree.
yeah,
Yes and no, but I disagree.
yeah. There was one famous shot taken down here in Florida. You know, I'm in Florida now. They talk about the
Yeah,
swamping, but there was these people, an elderly couple. I don't know if they had a camera, a night camera, or whatever, but they captured what looked like an orangutan.
I
And
saw that. I know what you're trying. It's all over the internet.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind of
And
walking sideways.
Lauren Coleman thought that it might have been some kind of a different species. He wasn't quite sure what it was, but it was an authentic thing. So
That I saw that picture. That looked legit.
yeah,
Its two eyes were bright. It's showing its fangs a little bit as he was
yeah,
walking
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sideways.
It's a great, it was a
Yeah,
great
I
shot.
saw that.
Yeah, yeah,
That to me, that looked like a legit photo.
yeah, yeah. Now the other one from Colorado was 2023, I believe, the Colorado train Bigfoot
Oh, yeah,
video.
off the side. I remember seeing that.
So that came out, and again, a lot of people thought it was just a man in a monkey suit because that was elk hunting season, and
Mhm.
it'd been really pretty precarious to be out there on the mountains wearing a Bigfoot outfit when they're shooting for elk. So you know that didn't make sense, but I think most of the people I talked to thought it was a hoax. Uh, Ron Murphy, one of the Bigfoot researchers from Western Pennsylvania, said that at least it gave us an opportunity for a discussion. And he was true. I mean, that's what it did, you
Yeah.
know. So, I mean, I asked a bunch of people, what do you think? And they
Yep.
gave me
Definitely
their
raise
opinion.
eyebrows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, anyway, we don't know. But
I got you, sir. I got you.
um, yeah, Drewski, I would hope that if anybody purchased one or more of my books, that they would be so kind as to place a review on Amazon, because this is what our us authors really need. We need to get those Amazon reviews because I don't know how that magic works, but it just helps with the
Yeah.
algorithm and helps with everything, with visibility and promotion. So
Yeah.
you know, I mean, the one thing I'm asking, I mean, if anybody likes what they hear and likes the direction I'm going in, you know, to certainly get a book and also, you know, put a review on Amazon. That's you know, would be important to me. Um, I don't know how close you are to Weimer's Cave, Virginia. Is it
Oh, I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
okay? Because I'm going to be there on June 20th and 21st. That's going to be Daniel Benoit's Bigfoot Expo,
Okay.
and that's going to be in Weimer's Cave, and just has a whole lot of things. He has a medieval thing going on there, and it should be a really, really good time. So, you know, I can't wait. I was the first one that he booked as a guest speaker, so I'm just like really excited about that. And then for the folks that are in the Florida area, I'm going to be down at the Ocala Bigfoot Expo April the 5th. And that's, I think, the third annual one, but it's really huge. I mean, thousands of people there. And if you're into Bigfoot and Bigfoot researchers, I mean, that's the place to be. So that's Ocala Bigfoot Expo on April the 5th. And closer to home in Elysburg, Pennsylvania, Gwendolyn Purcell's uh, uh, Bigfoot Expo, Central Pennsylvania Expo on August 2025. So that's another one that draws thousands of people. So it's just amazing to, you know, to go to these expos. And Pennsylvania, especially Western Pennsylvania, has a
Mm.
ton of them. I mean, every weekend there's something. It's just like, man, they're like, well, they're like cannibalizing each other, but there seems to be a need. There's a real frenzy. So
Yeah.
they're doing it. So
I got you, sir. I got you on that. Do me a favor before we go. I want you to drop where anybody can find you at, where all your plugins at, and before you do that, I want you to name all your books
well,
and the
okay,
one you got coming out.
okay, good, okay. So I don't want to name all of them because I was a rock journalist, but first of all, if you want to check out my books, you could either go to Amazon and Jeff Bezos, the billionaire, he could use a couple of bucks, but you could either go to Jeff Bezos or you could go to Maxim Furek, www.maximfurek.com, and check it out. I'll be glad to hook you up with a autographed copy of any of my books. Shepton, The Myth, Miracle, and Music was the one that kicked it off. Co-Region Hoodoo was a big seller. That's called Co-Region Hoodoo, Paranormal Tales from Inside the Pit. Flying Saucer Esoteric, the Altered States of Ufology, and then the latest one is the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. So the one that I'm working on now that's going to be coming out this year, hopefully, if unless the world ends, but it's Paranormal Apocalypse. Is this how it ends? And I mean, look at that. The cover that they put up with. We started with the cover rather than, usually that's the last thing, but there's the Grim Reaper with a
Who illustrated that?
Huh?
Who illustrated that? That's really good.
Well, I came up with the idea. I wanted to have a Grim Reaper with alien, the gray thing, and then the skulls and the hourglass. But the people from, it is pretty cool. The people from Hangar One, their illustrator did that and did it in black and white and gray. And I thought maybe it would look good with red. And they said, no, they think that this is the way to go. It's just grim,
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean, it's going to be despondent. It's going to be, it's going to talk about fear, but then it has a happy ending. So, because I believe that. I believe I'm basically a positive person.
Mm-hmm.
Life's a struggle. But there's glimpses of joy, happiness, redemption, and all that. It's
100% on that, sir. And not only that, that cover can make a good back tattoo piece. I like tattoos, so that whole thing that looks pretty wild. I'm not gonna lie, that's hardcore. I like that.
Yeah. Now, do you do any expos there in Tennessee?
Yeah. Matter of fact, it wasn't in Tennessee. We just had one in Kentucky. It's over at Crypticon over there in Lexington, Kentucky. We just did that one last year. And then as far as that, we might have one coming up in West Virginia. Like one of my buddy Joe, he's actually still working on that. So as far as that, the podcast and like my cryptid research team might be going there to speak a little bit. But I don't know. He has to iron out all the details, and then other than that, I will keep you posted on that for sure, though. But
yeah, please do that. And maybe I think I'd like to contact you and get some quotes for Paranormal Apocalypse. I think you could give me a couple of good ones, so that'd be great.
100% on that, sir. Other than that, where could people find you at if they need to get a hold of you, talk to you, anything like that?
Yeah, they could check me out on my website, www.maximfurek.com. Yeah, check it out and be glad to, correspond. That would be great.
Awesome. Well, Maxim Furek, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you being flexible. And yeah, like I said, if you guys got any questions for him, I will have everything in the show notes. You guys can just click on it and it'll go straight to his website, guys. So if you guys want some good books, check them out. I will have those in the show notes as well. Maxim, brother, thank you for coming out and hanging out, brother. And don't go anywhere. I'm going to shut it down and then we'll chat for a little bit and then you can go. So
sounds good. Thank you, Drewski. Okay. Thanks, listeners.
All right, guys, I appreciate you guys. Remember, you guys got any questions or anything like that? You guys got any experiences? Anything at all? You guys just want to chit-chat and talk? Go ahead and shoot me an email. That's cryptidwarfare@gmail.com, cryptidwarfare@gmail.com. And if you guys got any, anything, I wouldn't say haunting you guys, but anything cryptic-wise at your house you're dealing with, anything like that, just go ahead and shoot me an email at CWOPPS@protonmail.com or CWOperation17905@gmail.com. So hope you guys have a blessed week. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will catch you guys later.